Alright guys, welcome back. This is Peter or Mask Momentum here, and today we are going to actually go over some of my stream games from the Battle Hardened in Portland this weekend. It was a team blitz event here. I was on a team with Majin or Caleb and Yost from Team Kayfabe. So we are playing some sweet blitz here. Going into this event, funny thing is that Majin and me are both iconic wizard players, and only one of us can play Kano in this event. So leading up into it, there was a little back and forth of like who should be playing, Kano at this event, and who should be playing Chane. And eventually we figured out that I should be playing Chane and Caleb should be playing Kano, because hitting soul shackles with Chane was just not something that Majin was being able to do. So this is what we're doing this week for this event here. So let's get into it. Let me read this real quick and then go through. So this pairing specifically had a little bit of a bad matchup. So Kassai is traditionally bad into Kano, and then Chane and Dash is like kind of like a 50-50, and then Chane into Kano is a little bit Chane favored after playing this event and what we think about it. So this is a pretty bad matchup for us because like our best matchup is like a 50-50 from like the middle seat that I'm playing in Chane versus Dash, and then we have like pretty bad matchups in the other two. I think the Kano Chane one you can be able to flip it, but I don't remember how many games Majin won when he was in this specific matchup of Kano versus Chane. But Yost was playing very well this entire weekend, so his Kassai was just doing some insane things coming out there. But as you can see, I put the dice to signify that I was going second. Playing against Jacob, he was a really nice guy, and so we'll get into it right here. So he does attack me on turn 0, which is something that when I watched back this game, I was like, I'm kind of like, you don't really have to attack me on turn 0, because he especially doesn't have he's using Talishar as well as his weapon, which is very unique. Talishar, I believe it's either 2 or 3 counters specifically on Talishar until it breaks, but he does get a cheeky 1 damage through on this attack. I just have I think I have just quad 3 blocks in my hand and block it again. This is the decision where if he was trying to attack on turn 0, he could just attack with Talishar here and deal 5 damage to me on turn 0, or take an armor piece or something like that. Maybe I block with Grasp or something, but decided to go with the Arsenal here to play it more safe, take that 1 damage. But we do both, filter both of our hands. I get a fresh 4. My new 4 on this, if I remember correctly, was not the best here. So I'll shackle, and then I come in with Blue Shrill, coming in for 5. So I'm just kind of setting up a little bit here. I have 2 cards in hand. Both of them are attacks. I think I'm just gonna go 5-4 and then just pass this turn. Just trying to do a decent amount of damage to where if he wants to block it, he can easily block this damage out. But because he's also trying to play an aggro game, I'm just playing just efficient, just efficient attacks to try to get all these cards and hopefully find an explosive turn to use my equipment right beforehand, and then basically not combo him out, but do a lot of very, very efficient damage to get him there, So attack for 5, he takes all 5, attack for 4, he's going to take all 4, go to 11, so he's going to start with this 5-card hand and just try to pretty much eviscerate me from this point on. Hopefully take all the cards out of my hand and do a lot that way. I draw a decently awkward hand. I have triple 2 block, I believe, and then Art. No, I have two spells, a blue Vexing and an Art of War, but without a Blood Debt card. So the Art of War is not the best in this situation here. It comes with Scramble Pulse with blue for 5, which is not something that you see too often with Scramble Pulse. Usually you just see a 1 of red copy. You're not really seeing a lot of of the other colors as well. So this was pretty interesting for my end. And then all the equipment have -1 defending. I have a lot of equipment that defend, so I just do have to block very efficiently here. A little cam view. I just think, like, again, Savage Feast's production is just, like, actually insane. Like, Ethan and the crew, just, like, every single time I watch any of the videos from them streaming any weekend I'm not at, or if I look back at the coverage of me streaming, especially from this weekend, I'm just like, dude, the coverage, like, the knowledge the casters have is, like, pretty huge, like, and just everything. It's just so good. Like, this is the production that, like, you really want to see when you tune into, you know, all these high level games, especially in Flesh and Blood, where it's like, it is quite hard to do coverage for Flesh and Blood because there's a lot going on, there's a lot to remember, and, you know, these do it fantastically here. So he comes in with another 4, and then now this throttle for 6. Because of the -1, my Karen Husk only blocks for 5, so I'll take 1. This is a lot of damage. Like, this is, like, he kept this 5-card hand to be able to try to, you know, do a significant amount of damage to me and try to win the race, right? And he's pretty much doing it here. You know, he comes in with the Talon Shard for 4 here. Coming in, I take the 4, he puts a counter on it. Like, now he uses his 5-card hand, he takes my Husk, basically takes my entire hand. I'm just gonna shackle and play this bounding from my arsenal here, just for, like, 2. And then he gets to basically just have another 4-card hand, and just, you know, keep coming at me with, like, basically everything. So, it's like, it's pretty close on life total, like 12 to 11, but I am I'm a pretty big dog currently in this game state, right? Like, I haven't hit anything off shackles. I'm only on shackle 2, and I have an R1 arsenal that I want to play around, but he has a full 4-card hand. I'm at 11. I could probably survive this turn, but it's going to be, I'm gonna take a decent amount of damage here. This is the last turn for his tech load, though, so it doesn't get, like, an extreme amount of value. He's already got all 3 out of it, so this is coming in for 8 with T-Bone. I have to block with an equipment here. My hand, if you can look at it in, like, the little hand cam on the left, is, like, pretty weak here. So I'm looking at 2nd Ardivore, and I'm looking at like a Mobskies, a Revel, and a Invert Existence. That's the card's name. So looking back on this game, I probably should have not have blocked with Mobskies. I probably should have like, because that is a blue. I can probably move the other blue in my hand that doesn't block, but thankfully my crown does hit a blooded card, and you see my little nod there. I'm just like, oh, thank God, you know. Like, thank God I hit something. But because I blocked with both armor pieces, I do have to block with the Spellwind Creepers, but I don't think this is going to be a game to where Spellwind Creepers is going to put in a lot of work, and I don't know if I'm going to survive enough, so just getting out there. I'm going to take this 4 here down to 3, so just getting it down to there, because I'm taking 1 from this Carrion Husk, so realistically, if Jacob can, like, full block for, like, 3 turns, I just die. So that's what he should be doing, is just kind of full blocking until I die here. I do whiff on Shackle 2, which is absolutely terrible. I'm just slightly giving that little smirk there, just being like, oh man, I'm gonna have to really do some damage on this turn here. But, you know, starting with the Ardivore, so that's obviously quite good. Benching the Shadow Ursa from my hand, drawing 2. So something here is, if I kept that extra card in my hand, I would have been able to, like, double Ardivore on this turn, because I would have put the Revel away and just double Ardivore this Riftbind and hope to hit something again. But I don't think that's, like, too bad. I think that's, like, the super greedy play, and I went with a really safe one, because you know, we're playing, like, for the 2-0 currently. Early rounds here, don't want to, like, coin flip all these games all the time, so just attack for 3. He takes 3 here. Waiting for my Soul Shackle here with Chane. I think for a little bit, because I'm supposed to play the spells in my hand and then Shackle with Chane so I can play the Riftbind. Here, I finally realize it, so play the Nibilism, play the Revel to gain the 4 rune chance. So this is just, like, an extremely extremely powerful turn here, right? Like, it's like 3 go again. I think this Rush Bang comes in for like 9, if I count correctly, because it's like +3/+3. So yeah, it comes in for 9. And 4 arcane. So we're looking at like 16 damage here plus a Rosetta, which is like 20. So like, yeah, I'm just like coming out at a 20 damage turn. He's at 11. So like, he could technically full block everything, and it doesn't look like he has a blue in his hand. I was wondering from this position because I don't know. I think he takes all 4. I was wondering if he had a blue in hand, because if he has a blue in hand, I think it might have been good for him just to like pitch all of this. He could honestly like pitch a, yeah, just pitch like a blue, take 1, triple block this, like 9 basically. But he decides to take all 4, go to 4 here, and then this is the unfortunate part of this turn. He still has like Crown of Providence and a block there, so you can block for 3 and then 2 cards. So he can really cover this like entire thing up with like 2 cards plus that. I come in for 2 and 2 off of the Rosetta Thorn. He can block like an arcane and then block a the physical if he wants, and like stay at 3. He could have, like, if he had like a blue and a yellow in his hand, he could have pitched more for the rune chance, or blocked like, he could have blocked a little bit extra on like the Shadow of Ursa and kept being higher if he wants to like just for sure like I die in 3 turns from this Carrying Husk and just give me like 4 card plus whatever I get from Shackle is like a fine strategy at this point, right? But he takes all his rune chances there, so but because this is coming in for 9, he like has to block, so it's like not good for him if he wants to keep cards in his hand, which he kind of looks like he's trying to do. And then he blocks here for 6 and takes 3, and has 3 cards in hand, which he just dies to Rosetta Thorn, which he, unfortunately, we talked about it after the game. He was like, oh man, like that's obviously that wasn't what he like was intending to do here. He just kind of forgot that Rosetta came in for 2 arcane and he couldn't banish it, and he should have blocked over on the 9. And then I kind of go over and we were just like talking about it, and then I show some cards like that I would have done because I already won this, and I think it goes to the next here. Yep, and then it goes into Yost's game here. He's playing the Kassai versus the Kano here. Traditionally a bad matchup for Kassai, like in its entirely. I think every single time I play Kano, and if I sit down and get rostered in Kassai, I always think like it's going to be a very good matchup for me, right? But something that is like very special about this Kano deck list that they're playing is they're playing like the Waning Moon build versus everybody, right? So I traditionally do not like this build because it's trying to do the max amount of damage it can on a singular turn. And like that's good and all, but realistically in Blitz I want to be playing a more like safe game plan, and then when they force me to go for it, that's when I want to try to pop off and like do like 11-12 damage. Not like my entire game plan is I'm gonna pop off one turn. I'm trying to, you know, I can still play a mid-range game without. But something that's like really good from Yost's position is that he's like still super high in life total. The card in his arsenal is an Oasis. I know that information because he showed it to me before like this clip happens. And then he's having like a really good like double red like hit and run this attack, and this has go again. He can attack with the other saber for another time because of the blood in our hands, and he's like Blood in our Hearts, Courage pop this turn. Plus this is like an insane turn, right? Like it's just one of those turns where you're just like, okay, well, like, I'm just going to do such a significant amount of damage to your opponent that, like, he's either going to die or he's going to live at, like, 2, and then hopefully you draw enough, like pitch in your hand the following turn to, like, not die from, like, Kano's, like, pop-off turn. So he already blocked with, like, 1 card from his hand, as well. And then you see me in the corner right there, you know, looking at Yost, because obviously I know all the Kano lines because of the amount of hours I've played Kano. I walk over to help Majin because he asked me a question, but I've played so many hours of Kano that like it's like very good to just be like, okay, well, Yost, this is like what we have to do. We have to push here, or this is what he can have his hand, or how much damage like he could do to us on this time. So that was something that this team event I've really shown to where like even though I wasn't playing Kano specifically, whenever we were playing against Kano, I could do a lot of the math from the Kano side really easily to know what we needed to do in that specific iteration, you know? So plays the second E-Pot, which, like, if you ever played against Kano, playing 2 E-Pots is like, you're facing down 2 E-Pots from like a Kano is like super scary. He draws an E-Strike, so he is playing like the more like Winning Moon plus the attacks build. I'm not like a super big fan of the attacks in Kano because like there's so many whiffs. I think Warmongers is really the only card I want to be playing in Kano like that has attacks. That like is a whiff off the top, especially because you're doing like the Winning Moon trying to pop off on a random turn build. I just don't think like adding like whiffs to your deck, so like if you Kano, like you have to hit off the top with Kano, and then like you hit an attack and you just auto lose the game. I just don't think that's like a strategy you should be really trying to go for, right? But you know, they were winning games. I think they did pretty well after this round as well. So like it's one of those like they were winning, so you just got to keep going with it, I guess. But something that's really good here, I'm a very big proponent of playing Tunic and Kano and Blitz specifically because of this this right here exactly, is that he's coming with Cintari Saber for 2 and you're at 2. Like this, there's enough turns in this game to where you would have a Tunic counter, so it's gonna do the same thing as Spellfire Grasp. Spellfire, what are the chess pieces? I forgot what its name is. I haven't played it in so long. You could just block with the Tunic, like only take 1, so he has to like attack your reactor, extend another card to kill you, and that sometimes that 1 resource is enough to is enough, right? Like they extend that extra resource. Like maybe this is the only blue in his hand. Like he has to play a card and use a resource, and now he's down to like 1 resource. Now he has 2 cards in hand, both of them are red. He only has 3 resources, so you have to do like such like less amount of damage versus like now he gets to have 3 cards in his hand, 2 floating, and it's just like it's a lot easier for you to kill them if they have to extend more, and that's why I like the Tunic block a lot. Plus like there's a lot of on hits that are like on breakpoints in this game, like currently in the meta, and that's why I just like extremely like being able to just, you know, block with Tunic sometimes, which is really good. Plus he has double E-Pot out, so the extra resource off the top doesn't really matter too much, especially. But his hand is a little bit weak because it is like red, yellow, blue, so just not a lot of resources. So the double E-Pot's kind of like get him back into like being at like a healthy amount of resources this turn. So he's gonna activate Kano here and then activate Kano a second time because he wants to Ragamuffin's Hat this Reverberate. So he puts the Reverberate back, draws a Lesson in Lava. Right there. Oh, there's a Scolding. Oh, never mind. It was a blue Reverberate, a red Scolding. Okay, never mind. So puts the red Scolding, and then gets the lucky Blazing Aether off the top. Now he's like, oh man, it's a lot of damage you can do here, especially because we do have another arsenal. So it could either be another red Scolding or it could be another Blazing. Would be like the best case scenario for him here, right? So here he's gonna start off with Emeritus Scolding, and then he is paying from the node here. So when I saw this, because I'm like watching with Yost, we're basically talking about like we know we have Oasis like in Arsenal here, and I'm like trying to figure out like what we lose to, right? And I'm like, well, if we just AB3 this, and he has, you know, he like blue pitches like Storm Shatters, comes with Emeritus Scolding, and then like Winning Moons like blazing us, like I don't think we lose in that position, right? So I'm like, well, I think we can take 4 on this initial because we won't die to like the rest of the chain because we have like blue, red in hand plus Oasis in Arsenal. So I'm like, you can see that like I'm like doing the math. If you look at the shadow in like this corner, which is like really funny, it's like I'm just doing the math trying to figure out like, okay, what can we do to like give him more information to like make a better call as well, because I want to keep Oasis for something that's like more than just damage, like that has an on hit, like maybe it's a Sonic Boom in Arsenal, or it's like something like that. So trying to see the most amount of information from our opponent here. He does come in with a Windy Moon and exposes the card in his hand, so it is just going to be coming in for 3. So I'm just like, yeah, just pitch a red, just AB3, because that's all we need to do, because the Blazing's just going to do 4, and then even if it's like another Blazing, like it doesn't matter, because we'll just like Oasis the first Blazing, and then at this point I know that the card in his arsenal, like the best thing for him is if like the card in Arsenal is Blazing, especially when he pays for 1. I'm like, okay, it's just exactly enough to put Blazing, so I'm like, oh yeah, just Oasis this, take 1, we can never die, and then we will always win if this is Blazing here. Like red Tome would be get weird, but he would red Tome first, but it's just 5, we live at 7, we win this game, so we do get this round 2. Majin does win on the other side after like this happens, but we already were 2-0 up here. Let's see, we do play another round on camera, pretty sure it's like round 5 here. Let's just skip to that right here. All right, here. So this is our second game on camera. We are currently 4-0. We're getting down paired into the 3-1. This is like a pretty interesting lineup from them, and it like immediately had like alarms bells ringing in my head when we sat down and they announced this. So our Kassai is playing against a Yoji, which is like usually just like a hard fatigue deck, and then I'm playing Chane versus Bravo. But something like we did was like after our rounds we were like walking around, and this Bravo did look like he was trying to like fatigue like Chains, and he was trying to fatigue like other decks in the format, right? So it looked like it was just like a traditional Bravo list, but he was playing more of like the gain life stuff and trying to fatigue. And then in Seat C, they're just playing like what is the best deck in the format, and Blitz is just Chane, just to play like another aggro deck. So they're just playing like double fatigue decks and then like the best deck in the format, right? So like these fatigue decks are pretty good into Chane, and so this is like not the best matchup for me, but because I'm playing traditional Chane and I saw that I had the hunch that this is not going to be like a mid-range kind of aggressive Bravo, this is going to be more of like I'm going to block you out and try to fatigue you. I am playing like I did put my Eclipse and my my timestamp pushing to try not to get fatigued, and so this was a pretty long match here because I'm doing like an incredible amount of thinking to try to like not lose very, very early into this game. Kassai versus Yoji, I would say, is a little bit Kassai favored because you have like the mentor token and just like a lot of like other things that you can do with Kassai is like it's really hard to block Kassai efficiently because of all the attack reactions and stuff like that. If you overblock like the first attack and then just give it go again and swing the other saber, and then you're like, okay, well, I just like overblocked the first one, so I can't block the second one as much, and then they pump the second one. So it's like pretty hard to play against like warriors as like guardians and like stuff like that. So it's because they get Kassai specifically attacks multiple times a turn versus like Dory, which only attacks 1 time a turn. You can just like always overblock Dory and then like pretty much always beat her. But versus Kassai, it's just really hard to fatigue Kassai specifically, so it's pretty Kassai favored. I'm pretty not favored into Bravo here. I do have like a sideboard plan for like getting fatigued, but it is definitely like a lot has to go right for me to be in that position. And then we had like the Kano Chane matchup again on Seat C. Majin did win the other one. This one is the same. It's like not Kano favored. It's like more Chane favored here. So we're looking like dogs here, looking pretty advantaged here. So we're looking like I have to really win this game in like a like me and Majin have to like win our seat because he should win his seat. So it's either me or Majin to like flip the bad matchups into getting the vent win here. So looks pretty good. And then this was like the first thing that gave it away was turn 0. He just plays a healing card and then he passes. So that's he played Sigil, which like you can play Sigil in like the traditional ones that aren't like being super fatiguey, but he's not playing Rampart. He's playing like the block 2 and then block 1, and then he's not playing like EB2 or anything, but he's just playing like the maximum amount of like just the maximum amount that you can like block for it reliably. So I'm like still filling it out. I see like double Shadowverser, so even if it's like more of a mid-range aggro Bravo, sometimes I'll see my entire deck. So I see double Shadow, so I'm like, I'm just gonna pitch both of them to like the bottom of my deck, and then always have basically always have that late game of having double Shadowverser because I have my Eclipse in my deck, and to be able to just like have an insane pop off turn one time, right? I arsenal a Plunder Run to set up for a huge turn, because if it's Fatigue, I need to have a huge turn. If it's not Fatigue, then Plunder Run's just still like an amazing card, you know? So, pops this. He does have a Crippling Crush, not dominated on this turn, so it's coming from 11. This is a really good start from him, especially if he's trying to, like, this is a good start for like both versions of Bravo. Just like it's gonna take basically my entire hand or some number of like equipment for me. If my hand's like super good here, I just block with like Husk Grasp and like take 3, right? Like that's probably like the worst case for him. If I just like, I'm like block 8, like take 3, I'm gonna have this like Art of War like Plunder Run pop off turn, and like that's probably like the worst thing. I'm thinking here like can I give, if I give these 3 cards in my hand, is it good for me? And I'm kind of worried that he might just like back to back like have like Crippling Crushes, or like maybe has a Spinal, so I need to keep my like Carrion Husk for it. But so I block with 3 cards from my hand. My Shackle 1 hits a Minnowism, which is not that good because I'm trying to keep like Belittle a lot of the time. To like hit my Minnowisms, like put Belittle in my arsenal, wait for like a really good turn to like extend chains and like squeaking damage around him. So hitting and not being able to get like a Minnowism is pretty bad in this matchup. But my pitch deck is going super well here. Like I have like Shadowverser, Eclipse. I make a Rune Chant on the end of it, and then I just basically like know the top, like the bottom 3 cards of my library, and I know I can do a lot here. So this is another one. He like plays Terror Thunder. He comes in for like 5 Dominate here. This was like another consideration, is like, do I just block with Husk, or do I give like a card plus Grasp here, right? Because the card plus Grasp like blocks us for 5 perfectly. So does Husk like freely. Is my hand like good enough to like block with Husk here is like my question. My hand has no blue pitch. It has like double swarming, like I can like Plunder Run, like Nimblism, which is like a pretty good hand, but it's not something like that's gonna overpower like what Bravo like just full blocking with his hand is gonna do, right? So here's 2 Shackles. I hit an Art of War and a Mob Skies, which is pretty bad for me because especially I need to draw Art of War. Like I would wish to draw both Art of Wars if I'm getting fatigued, right? So I at least need to draw one of them to have a chance if I'm getting fatigued to like go over their defenses. So unfortunately I don't have another attack, so like the go again off Shackle is like kind of wasted from Swarming Gloomfield, but it still is like 1 Arcane, 6 go again, so it's gonna take 2 cards from his hand, and then I get to pitch to Rosetta Thorn to like come in for 2 and 2, right? So that's like the best opportunity that I have from this turn. I just want to give myself a little bit of breathing room, because if he's like truly full blocking me, this is like the test, right? Is like if he gives me 2 cards here, then he's not going to be able to attack me like next turn, so I'm going to be able to like keep my hand. So yeah, talking to Majin on my right real quick, we're joking about some things. I wonder that there is one of the rounds where Majin like played like Tome from Arsenal, like drew 2 cards, had like 6 cards in his hand, and then it goes to Kano and then hits like Eye of Ophidia, and then he's just like, do I just like Kano a whole bunch of times and then like the Ragamuffin's hat, like draw the eye and then like do that stuff? And I'm like, man, like we do need to like try to win, you know, the game here. His opponent So now my opponent is like, okay, well, he has Warmongers, he has a Sink Below in Arsenal, he has just like a random blue. You can see me counting my deck on the left to like it's turn 3 and I'm like counting my deck, right? Like I'm pretty much know I'm getting fatigued at this point because he gives me the double block here. He's played some life game cards. It's like pretty apparent to me at this point, and like my strategy going in is like I'm probably getting fatigued by this Bravo, so I need to play like it. And this block specifically, like, always gives it away. Is like blocking the 1 and then Sink Belowing the 2 attack, and then keeping a card in his arsenal. So Warmongers is really good against Chane, because I can't play a non-attack, and an attack I can only play one or the other. So you always pick like War, so you can only play attacks and like swing your weapon, but you can't shackle, you can't do like a lot of the things that you would want to do, right? So my opponent just arsenals it, and passes, draws back up, looking at his thing while I think about before my shackles. Hits 2 of them, so that's pretty good. I need to be able to, like, I need to keep specific cards in my Banish Zone, like, because with Eclipse I need to play 6 Blooded cards. One of them needs to be like invert. It's like Double Howl, invert is like the easy 3. And then you have like a normal attack with Chane, like Shackle, which is 4. And then if you attack another time, it's 5. So you have to like figure out how to get like that 6. You need like an extra go again, which like Spellbound Creepers does that for you. Is getting that like 6 blooded card out, or like an Art of War with go again, or like a Mob Skies. I think like the easiest one is if you can Spellbound Creepers like Mob Skies, is like because it gives you the extra action point and it gives you go again, so it's like the best of both worlds that you need. Here I have this Soul Reaping here, banishing 2 to get 2 resources. Soul Reaping, just like one of the best cards in your deck. I have the Plunder Run like in my arsenal, which is like always the plan to like get an extra action point and like draw a card if he doesn't like exactly block everything. But it gives me the 2 cards here because why wouldn't you? Because he is fully fatiguing here, so he's just taking this 6, giving me the 2 cards. I'm going to play this, and I have a red Minnowism in my hand, so to get my 2 action points here, and then I play the Bounding because I had to play the Bounding here because I'm playing red Minnowism, right? So it's the only one's to get the attack bonus. So it's coming in for 5 with go again, which like will go again because I have the extra action point. It's not like super powerful, but he's still like, it's still pretty good. I'm just giving up like being able to play Plunder Run here, and because I activate Spellbound Creepers, I have to come with Rosetta, so I'm always going to take 3 damage here from Blood It, but 2 and 2 is pretty good for me specifically here. So it's just like one of those posturing turns where I get like chip damage in, which is really good for me, and then just like still setting up the bottom of my deck, have, you know, the invert in my Banish Zone, and then that's like basically it. He just plays a, you know, gain life sigil, and then, you know, passes, which is like basically just a block 3. Do banish one of the rebels, and I think I banished both rebels this game, if I remember correctly, which is like pretty bad because like playing rebel. Oh no, I think it's only 1 in this game. Because rebel is pretty good against Bravo because he does have AB1, so he can just like, he has a lot of blue pitches, but it just comes with like, rebel is just like an extra 0 for 4 that he has to block, which is basically going to give me any amount of like chip damage throughout the game. Here I draw like Belittle plus like my timestamp and other stuff, and I'm free to play this Howl for my Banish Zone because I have it on Howl as well, so I can just put it to the bottom. And if like you keep track of my bottom, it's like the double shadows, the Eclipse, like a blue pitch, like it would be like this timestamp, and then like this Howl from Beyond, right? So I have like a decent amount of end game after this. So activate Chane, so it's like Howl, activate Chane. If I need to do at least 1 arcane damage for the Spellbound Creepers this turn, so I get to start off with like the easy like 7 damage, put Howl on the bottom, right? And then I have like double red in my hand, and then I have Belittle, so and then Plunder Run and Arsenal, so I have like a pretty good pop off and then I have another Howl from beyond my hand, right? So I have like I have like triple red, a lot of action in my hand, but I don't have a card to reveal to belittle, and I have Plunder Run, so this was like pretty interesting spot. He blocks for 3, and I'm like pretty sure he just has a defense reaction, so I don't like play Plunder Run here, which I don't think you're supposed to, but he just like doesn't have the defense reaction and just like takes 4 because his hand's like kind of weak. So I'm like, you know, like I was kind of expecting him to like have defense reaction here, so my Plunder Run didn't get value like initially. So I'm like kind of thinking like what he would have in his hand, like if he's trying to take damage here, like is he trying to like send an attack, or is he trying to like what is he specifically trying to do here, right? Of like, why would you just like randomly take 4 here, like with all your armor, with like 3 extra cards in your hand? So I'm like kind of going through it with like in my mind of what he could have, right? So I need to get some of these bounding demigons out of my hand, out of like my banish zone, because I don't want to take as much damage, because it'll banish my husk on like the following turn, and then if the card in his arsenal is just an attack, then he like will randomly could like cheese me out of like a turn, and then I don't have husk, I have to block the cards in my hand, and then I just die randomly, which is like a consideration of like what I was thinking, right? But he only blocks for 3 on my 4, so I'm like, oh, I'll get the cheeky Plunder Run, like damage in, hits for 1. I do draw Revel here, which is like extremely good, as well as because like Revel allows me to like hopefully turn on Spellbound Creepers. So you know, play the Revel, get 4 Room Chance. He has 2 cards in his hand. To come in here for 4, like, so it's like 4 Room Chance plus whatever I decide to do. I still have like another action point. Play the Ghostly Visit from my Banish Zone because it costs a resource, and I need to. A lot of the time, if you don't have a lot of blues on like the final like double Howl, invert plus like everything turn, you have to play like a whole bunch of boundings. So this is also coming for 7, and then for like a breakpoint plus 4 Room Chance here, which is like pretty big. It's a lot of damage. It does a significant like amount of stuff here. So he does pitch for 3 of the Room Chance and has a heart, so he like gains one life when he pitches it, and then takes 1 for the Room Chance, so it's like net equals, so life total doesn't change. Then he just has like 1 card in his hand. I'm coming in for 7. He blocks for 7 with like the double equipment and the 1 card from his hand, so he blocks all of it. He's only took 1 arcane, so my Spellbound Creepers is going to die. I don't think you ever pitch to invert here specifically, because you need invert for like the eclipse. If he was like if he was lower, like if he's at 7, I think you might, because but like I have belittle, so like I'm setting up like a huge amount of damage with belittle, right? And now I'm like just debating, like, do I put the reds on top? Do I put like the blue on top? Like, what am I going to draw? What am I going to banish from the top? Eventually put it that way, and then draw 4. He's asking if he should play the card from his arsenal here to try to like, because it is 5 shackles, right? Like it is a pretty like dominant turn, which was it was really weird because I had to do a lot of math after he played this, right? So I always play war, but like my hand is like belittle, Art of War, double shrill. So I drew the second Art of War, which is super key, right? Like not banishing the second Art of War is like puts me like helps me a lot. And then you can see like I only have like 13 or so cards left in my library, and then like he asked me like, oh, will the husk like banish itself in the turn? Yes, like the husk will banish itself at the start of my turn, which is a little scary because if he plays Warmongers here, I have like a really bad turn, and then he just like maybe blocks with 1 card or like blocks with equipment and then sends like a crippling or like a spinal at me. It's like quite awkward. So banish 5, hit like 3 boundings, like not like quite not good on this turn specifically, but I basically know like the bottom like 6 or 7 cards in my library here. So like I knew these had to be coming up, unless they're like exactly on top, which I want to banish them because they're like yellows and reds. And so my husk does banish here, and I just like rearrange my banish here. I have a lot of cards in there. I'm gonna take a lot of damage at this end of this turn, right? Like I can't play, like I always take 5, and it's like, do I want to play invert? Like no, because I have to play invert with like the Eclipse turn. So I'm taking 6 going to 6 100%. So if he does have like a randomly big attack like after this Warmongers, like I could be in a really sketchy position. Like I'm basically playing as if he like doesn't have one, because I just can't play it around it, right? So, but something that is good is that I have Belittle in my hand, right? So like Belittle in my hand and in my arsenal. So I'm gonna play the one from my arsenal because I want to put Art of War in my arsenal. Because Art of War is just like, I need to draw like a Blooded card, right? Or to like banish. I know I have the shadows. I know I have the shadows and other stuff. So I was checking if I could swing for Set of Thorn, because I actually don't know how Warmongers works like exactly. Because I don't play a lot of Chane. I really play like a lot of wizards where like Warmonger doesn't do anything against, and I really had to read that card like going into going into this event, and I still don't know exactly what it did, especially here. I made like a decent amount of misplays like playing Chane this weekend, because I haven't played Chane since he was like legal like 2 years ago, which is like I keep forgetting that it has been like 2 years since like Chane has been legal in CC, to where like the majority of people have been like playing him, right? So this is basically the final like turn I'm going to have, because I'm going to banish my like basically my entire deck here. I don't need to filter any cards because like my hand is like pretty good, so I block with 3, take 1 because I needed my life total to be decently high. I know the top card of my library is Eclipse specifically because I drew the double Shadowverser, so I can't use my crown to like do anything. And this is like the big turn, right? Like this is like the turn to where I like I told my teammates like, yo, I gotta cook, like I'm gonna be in the tank for a little bit, like play your own games while I try to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out if I have any Minnowisms left in my deck, because I have the Belittle and I can. So something like he checks my things here. So if you go down like the list of cards that I need to play, it's like double Howl, invert is 3 Blood Deads, like, and then I need to play 3 more Blood Dead cards, right? So 3 more attacks. So I need to gain like additional like action points. I need to gain like go agains and like through that other stuff. I don't have, you know, I don't have my boots, that hurts me a lot. And then while I'm thinking about it here, I get like the unfortunate news from Majin that he loses his game on that other side. So it's like the game's on me here. Like I have a lot of these cards. So with knowledge that I have now, I think he should always die on this turn. But I needed to play it very specifically, which I unfortunately, my judgment in this specifically went a little bit wrong here. So I pitched my blue Shrill to play this Howl and to have 1 resource floating, and then specifically I have double Shadowverser in my hand plus Belittle. So, and in my arsenal I have Art of War. So if I play the Art of War with the 1 floating and just say banish, draw 2, and gain like my next thing gains go again and banish my Shadowverser, I'll draw the next 2 cards, which is specifically double blue, which you'll see later because I do use Art of War to draw 2 cards, but it's going to put the Shadowverser and then keep a Blood Debt card in my hand to then banish to the Shadowverser to give it go again. So like I'd play Howl, play the Art of War, I would draw the 2 blues, pitch 1 of the blues to play the other Howl, and then because I already have go again because of the Art of War that I played from my arsenal, I would just play like you know, one of these Boundings or like Ghostly Visit here to have it go again. So I've played like 1, 2, 3 like Blooded cards with 1 of attack already gone with that without using my Shackle, right? Which would be really good. And then I can play the Shadowverser from my Banish Zone, banishing the other one to make 4 Blood Debt. Invert's going to be 5. Shackle, like I Shackle and attack after that to make it 6, and then I can play my Eclipse here to make the Ursur token, and then attack with Ursur. So I'm attacking like for like 30 damage, right? That's like, knowing the information I do now, that was like the perfect play, but I unfortunately pitched the Shadow Ursur to play the second Howl, and this was like pretty much new. I like, from this position I was like pretty much doomed to, like, unless his hand is like quite bad. I still get to cast the Eclipse that we'll see, but I don't get to swing with the Ursur because I don't have enough action points to do that because I pitched this card. I don't realize it until I play the Art of War later, which is, do I play it now or do I play it right after? No, I shackle first and then play. Yeah, so I'm shackling, and then I will play. I play the 0 for 4, so like, or do I play Ghostly? I don't know. I play one of the attacks. I ended up playing the 0 for 4 later, but. So this comes in for 10, which is like quite good, right? Like, I basically get to play a whole bunch of extra cards because of Chane, and attack for 10. I do need to play a decent amount of my Bannerstone to like not die, right? Like, that is like the one thing, is I do need to play a significant amount of cards from my Bannerstone to like not die on the spot, right? Because I had 8 cards in my Bannerstone, 10 cards in my Bannerstone going into this turn, and 9 of them have Blood Debt, like, so that were like important cards. So, and I'm at 5, right? So I need to play at least 4 of them. So this was when I was like, oh, I'll banish and draw 2, and then I drew 2 cards, and none of them were Blood Debt cards, and I went, oh shit, right? Like, it's not the best place to be in at this point, and I'm like very heavily thinking, because I'm like, oh no, like, I can play my Eclipse this turn, right? Like, I've played 3 here. I play attack to go to 4, like, I play another attack, go to 5, and then play invert, go to 6, and I can still cast Eclipse, right? But I don't have another go against spell. I don't have, like, Art of War gets, like, has go again currently, so it gets me the extra, like, I have 1 go against spell, no creepers, like, it's not looking too good, right? If I had creepers here, I could be able to, like, creepers out a Howl to get the extra action point, and then I could have, but I wouldn't have kept creepers either way, because he did play Warmongers, and I couldn't play a non-attack anymore to save the creepers and do arcane damage. So even if I chose to, like, invert him on that specific turn, I still would have lost creepers, or attacked with the Rosetta Thorn, like, I still would have lost creepers, right? So it's like kind of unfortunate. I play just like a 4 with go again for my Bannerstone. Blocks are 3, takes 1, and then I'm just like kind of thinking I'm like pretty dead here. I'm like thinking about like the Blooded cards I can play. I realize like I can't swing with Ursur, but I can play it after, right? But I'm like, he has 3 cards in his hand. Like, he has 3 cards in his hand. It's like pretty doomed, right? So just come in with Belittle, just a 3 go again. I can extend the Chane a little bit, but Arwar doesn't have like +1/+1, so it's not gonna like leak any damage through. So it does get to like freely block here. I think I end up making a Rune Chant, which, like, I don't think it really mattered if I did or not on this turn, but it's like kind of unfortunate, because I'm just kind of thinking like, okay, well, like, the best case scenario here is if like the last card in my hand is a Blood Debt card, because then I can play Shadow Ursur, play the invert, do everything, like, but because I play the rune, like, I make the Rune Chant, like, we all know that I don't, like, I just make sure that, like, we all know that I played 4 Blood Debt cards, because that's what it is. So I can play an attack, and then play the invert, and then cast Eclipse this turn, and then that's pretty much it here. That's like the damage he needs to like think about. This does not have go again, so he gets to pitch for the Rune Chant, and then block with those 3, and then I get to invert for 2, then deal. He takes 1, goes to 4. So this, like, all of them have blocks, so like all the armor is like dead here. But if I did draw, like, say I drew first and was able to banish the Shadowverser to Shadowverser, and then like cast Eclipse, Shadowverser would have came in for an extra 2, which he has a 2 block in his hand. So he blocks the 2 here, and then I would have he goes down to 5 after this invert with Life Total hasn't changed. Blocks the 2 for 2. He has no armor, and then the Ursa swing for 6. He would have died, but I unfortunately made a mistake. So it is what it is. But I've played like pretty well this entire tournament until now. I was a little tilted after because I like thought about it, and then I was talking to Majin about it after, and I was like, I kind of threw this game. But he gets to play Sunkiss, and then because he plays Sunkiss, I'm like, yep, this game's over. Because like if you just like Arsenal passed and like didn't block much, like there's like sometimes an out to be able to like kill him if he draws like a whole bunch of 2 blocks when he's at 6, but I just like don't have enough there, and you see I'm just like, man, this is my face when I realize I should have drawn cards with Ardor first, and I threw the game with like the Shadowverser. I'm like, man, unfortunate here, but we'll play through a little bit more of this turn. Yeah, I'm like, like I should have banished the Shadowverser to the Shadowverser, right? And then it'd been fine. But I do it on this turn, but I just he's at 9, so it's like his life total is like way too high for me to like even like if he was at like 1 or 2, it's like a little bit different, right? Because like there's a chance that I could like squeak in the extra damage randomly, which would be cool, but unfortunately it doesn't happen as well. So I make a rune chant, and I can just like soul shackle, swing Ursa to come in for 6 with go again, and an arcane. I actually don't think the rune chant's supposed to trigger off allies anymore. I think that was something that was changed or has always been a thing, but I don't really remember. It's like an old ruling. Like the old rulings with like these cards are like super hard to play in Blitz when like we haven't played them in CC for like years, right? So I don't think the rune chant is supposed to be triggered, but we actually like it really doesn't matter though, because he's like way too high. Blocks with Sink Below, puts a card on the bottom, takes another 2. Like I'm just like hard dead to like all this blood debt. Come to a go again. He'll block, and then pretty much be over at this specific point. Kind of unfortunate because Yost does win his match in this game, right? I'm like reading Shadowverser just in case if I could just banish any attack and get to go again, but it is a shadow attack specifically. He takes the 2, and then I just come in for 5. He just gets to block 2 cards, and then I always die. And we lose the series here, which is unfortunate here. But we're like 4-1, right? There's 8 rounds before cut to top 4. We're 4-1. We're in like a prime position. We're actually like randomly the only 4-0 team. Like there's supposed to be like 3 4-0s, but not these guys. But I believe the other 4-0, like the other 3-0 versus 3-0 match before this round drew. So like we were the only 4-0s going into this matchup. So we do have technically the best breakers currently. So it is a little bit unfortunate, but we do play the very last game of the day on camera as well. And we're playing against some of my friends, Chris, Iali, Jonah, and Alex4. In the win and in, so we were 4-1 after losing the last round, and we are 5-2. We lost 2 rounds in a row and then 1, and then we need to win this round to make it into top 4 after starting 4-0, which is pretty unfortunate. We just basically needed to go 2-2 in the last 4 rounds to make it, and so we're playing round 8 here versus them. We have Kassai versus Chane, which is a pretty even matchup. This one can go either way. Playing Chane versus New Prism. I actually haven't played Chane versus New Prism. I've like most of my testing was into old Prism. New Prism starts at 4 less life, but has like an infinitely better hero ability and like some stuff. And then we have the Kano mirror of Majin versus Alex 4. Something that's like kind of weird is like on camera they don't really like putting Kano on camera too often, because like watching Kano games is like extremely hard, right? Because like even if you think like it's really hard to commentate over Kano matchups because there's so much going on and like so much to think about, and people play it so like differently than other people, and there's a lot to talk about, so they never like putting Kano on camera, especially like Kano mirrors, because it's just like super confusing for everybody. That's like majority of Wizard, they don't like putting on camera because like games either go super long or super fast, or like, and they're just really hard to follow here. So I'm on camera for the third time. I'm texting the boys that I am playing on camera again, so to tune in. We're in part of like me and Chris are like, me, Chris, Jonah, and Alex are part of like the same group chat that's like with a whole bunch of SoCal players. And so I'm like, yo, we're playing the boys on stream for the winning in, you know, hop in here, watch the game, you know, it's pretty cool. The camaraderie between like flushable players is like super good, and that's always something to look forward to. So Jonah over there is playing that Chane versus Yost playing Kassai. Yost has been on a tear, honestly, like this entire event. So it's really funny because usually in team events you have like a teammate that does really bad, you have a teammate that does like really good, and then you have like a teammate that's kind of like in the middle and kind of like does your like is basically your record, right? And this like it was crazy because this event literally didn't have that. Like we're 5-2 and all three of us are 5-2. Like we were winning all the same rounds and we were losing like all the same rounds. I think there was like three or four like rounds in 8 rounds where like we won 2-1, but like I remember we were like 3-0 6-0 at one point, and then like the 4th round like we won 2-1. Like the 5th round like we lost like 1-2. The 6th round we got swept, and then this one is also this one goes to the 3rd game to decide it, so it's really pretty close here, right? So we're all 5-2 currently, which is like usually when you're like if all 3 of you guys are 5-2, like you're probably like undefeated. But we're also 5-2 because we either all won in the same rounds or all lost in the same round. So a little bit unfortunate, but we're still quite live here. So something with OG Prism is that OG Prism plays Arclight Sentinel. The new one doesn't play like many of the auras at all. It is more of like a Herald deck specifically. So I'm kind of playing around him playing like Genesis randomly, or like Genesis on turn 0 would be really good against me, or like any of those auras. So I'm just making Rune Chant and passing with priority. I have Go Again currently, and he doesn't like, if he plays something, he's like, I'm just gonna pop it and you know, deal a little bit of damage to him maybe. So I have red Minnowism and the Swarming in hand. I keep the Swarming in hand just for an extra block 3, just in case I need to block because my hand's bad. But starting with a Rune Chant and a Shackle, and we draw up and hit double Bounding Demigod, the Swarming, and in Art of War with the Minnowism in our arsenal here. So we're looking at, he just comes in with a Herald. You basically can never let this Prism hit with a Herald because they just get so much value with like Figments and stuff like that. So immediately just come in with a Carrion Husk block for 6, and then he comes in for 7 here with Miraging Metamorph. And I just I don't have a Popper in my hand to trigger Phantasm, so just blocking with the Grasp to minimize the amount of damage here, because my hand's super good, right? So if I hit off the Shackle, like, it's really good. I do hit it off the Shackle too, which is like a Riftbind, which is something I can play this turn because I have the red Minnowism in Arsenal, and I have a blue Bounding and a red Bounding in hand. So I make the conscious decision to unfortunately like give up an extra Go Again here. So I Shackle into a Swarming, which is not like good, right? Is because like you lose a Go Again, because Swarming has Go Again if you made an aura this turn, which a Shackle is an aura. So I'm stacking for a 3 and 1 Arcane with the Art of War backup. I'm playing around Arclight Sentinel. Found out that he's not playing Arclight Sentinel in this matchup. Most of the new Prisms, some of the new Prisms do. I think like the very few games I've played against new Prism, all of my opponents have had Arclight Sentinel, and so I didn't want to get like fatigued randomly from Arclight Sentinel, or he just had it on this turn. He Arclights me, and then like my Art of War turn is like basically wasted, and then I kind of like slowly lose the game with like him having a lot more value, because his deck does have like enormous amount of value over my deck, right? So takes the Arcane, takes 1, goes to 15. Says no blocks, but obviously I have Art of War, so I'm doing +1/+1, banish, and then draw 2. So I don't think it's wrong to play like this. I was playing around like Arclight Sentinel, which some of them play, some of them don't, but it kind of hurts me in this position because I could have had an extra 0 for 4 this turn if I just like start with Art of War, and then with like +1/+1, and then I'm like threatening pretty much lethal on turn 1 if I do it the other way. I'm still doing like an insane amount of damage this turn though, because I get to come in with red minimalism off Spellbound Creepers, getting an extra action point and all, and I'd be able to basically like double attack here. So I'm going to use the Riftbind value because it's going to get an additional +1 from playing the Minnowism here, and it's really hard to keep cards in your hand when like all these heralds like have like enormous on hits, because I get because it's like on hit goes to soul, you get a Figment, you can use you can banish the card in soul to like flip the Figment and like all in one turn, and then like have ward for it and another attacker. Like the new Prism like ability and like engine is like really good. So you basically have to block like every single one. And he also has a key card of like Warmongers in hand, so he wants to keep that around. He has a Soul Shield, and we'll see. It's coming in for 8 with Riftbind, but like plus throwing another attack after this, which is like pretty big, right? So blocks for 3, and then he has Resurrection, and then comes in with Soul Shield, and then he pitches yellow, so it doesn't have another resource floating. So I'm kind of free to like come in with Rosetta Thorn here, or just like I want to keep bounding, and I want to keep the card from my hand, just because like I need to do arcane damage because of the Spellbound Creepers to keep Spellbound Creepers ahead. So you're kind of just like forced into just Rosetta Thorn here, which come 2 and 2, don't break the chain, so you can't like use the Soul Shield. Like the worst possibility is like if I break the chain to make a rune chant here, and then he gets like he can like take the rune chant, make a Soul Shield, AB1, like the Soul Shield does the other like instance of Rosetta Thorn, and then like my boots die and everything like that, and then you're just like infinitely sad, right? So takes 4, he goes to 7, which is like pretty good for me. He's like super low already. There's a 1-card hand. I have an arsenal. I have like another blood debt card. Like it's looking really good for me. Like anything turns like on my hand at this point, and I just do an enormous amount of damage. I'm like super in the driver's seat right here. But he does have the Warmongers, which unfortunately is pretty bad. Because I'm gonna for sure take 2 damage, go to 11 here, and then I'm pretty much going to lose my Spellbound Creepers as well, because I just don't have like, I can't make a rune chant, I can't like play a non-attack and an attack for Rosetta Thorn, and like there's a lot of things I can't do here because I'm playing War. So, and I can't shackle, so I don't even have go again on this turn, so it's like quite bad. I'm thinking. Oh, I'm thinking about if you can play, if I can activate Creepers and then play non-attack at instant if it like gets around this. I don't really know a lot of like the Wormhunger stuff, because it's like Talshar is like super inconsistent of like rulings and like how the game actually plays, and like instances of like where you can respond and like where you respond in person. Like, because it's really easy to like it's really easy to communicate in person, but it's really hard to do like everything on Talishar, right? So like Yost is like also wondering, because like he doesn't play a deck that's like, he plays Warmongers, he doesn't get affected by Warmongers really in his deck, so he also doesn't know that. So we talked about it after. I was like, this is an interesting like interaction, because you're still technically playing a non-attack, so but which Warmongers doesn't allow you to, but Spellbound Creepers just allows you to play it at a different like instant, right? Which is like pretty good. I pitched the Howl too because sometimes Prism can fatigue you if they have Arclight Sentinel and just like double Arclight Sentinel, and you just like kind of die randomly. So I don't push those to the bottom in case you just know full walk every single turn. Which is like, I'm still playing around Arclight Sentinel. I'm still playing around like all these cards from like the old Prism, which the new Prism sometimes runs, sometimes doesn't. But I don't think it's a bad idea to still play around like those cards at all. So looking at it, he is going to block for 3 here with this Herald. Does he block with Phantasm Footsteps as well this turn? I don't really remember. No, just block for 3, takes 1, goes to 6, and then I hit Invert, which is like super big because it's an instant, so I can cast it. And he played Warmongers the following turn, which I found out is actually the only spell in his entire deck is Warmongers, and it's like obviously like the one up for like Chane specifically, but it gave me the out to invert into this. But if he didn't have invert here, I have like blue mob skies, which would like, I wonder if I like actually just like get to kill him this turn if he has like, if I can like Spellbound Creepers like blue like the mob out, play like the attack from like banish, like attack for hand, like invert plus like Rosetta Thorn is like a lot of damage, especially because he starts this turn at 7. Majin asked me if he should flip the game versus 4 this turn, which is like is fine, like responding, because like I think 4 had like 1 floating in like an E pot, and like Majin's like, he has like a 4 or 5 card hand and like an arsenal. He's laughing because I'm like Majin, I'm a coin flipper, but I don't know how much of a coin flipper I am, but don't get me wrong, I am a coin flipper. And so we're all laughing about it. We're all friends here, which is like, it's good when you, it's unfortunate that like we have to play like the homies in for the winning in, but like it makes it so at least one of us, win or lose, is like into top 4 to like make a good run at it, right? I played against Alex 4 for a win-in for like the Calling Vegas, like I think it was like a year ago, not like the one that was with the like the national championships this year, but like the one previous year. And he actually beat me to make top 4. He actually won that Calling with Jonah and his brother, and he beat me in the final round, and we were playing the Kano mirror, so I was trying to get revenge this time around, but we'll see what happens here. So Chris does use the Spellway 2 off Halo of Illumination because he doesn't want to give me the Spellbound Creepers like to keep around. He comes in with the Herald. I just like have to block for 6 because I can't let this hit. Then he comes in with Erudition for 5 with Dominate and go again. On hit, draw 2 cards. I'm like, oh man, you don't have to do this to me. So block 5 so I don't get hit. Leave the card in my arsenal. So I leave the blue Mauve in my arsenal specifically because I can just like blue Mauve play Bounding this turn, and if I hit a Shackle, which I don't, I also make sure that he has an instant to play Arclight Sentinel, just in case he's playing it. I'm still giving him respect to Arclight Sentinel, even though he does not run it in his list, but I have to give respect to it because of just like how powerful that card is, and how, you know, giving instances to respond at instant speed is like super good, right? I do have a blue in my hand, which is like kind of unfortunate that I was supposed to make a enchant before this, because I don't really there's some stuff with Prism is that like Phantasmal Footsteps being able to block multiple times is like quite bad for you. So like playing the old OG Prism versus like Chane CC, like there was a lot of like micro like damage dosing that you had to like play around, right? Like this is like one of those examples where you're like, okay, well, if I break the chain here, it's gonna be like pretty bad, and that's like not the best. So he does block with Phantasmal Footsteps and another card, and then he's gonna pitch for the Footsteps here. Take nothing, and then he has 2 floating. So I don't make a Soul Shackle, I don't make a Rune Chant because I forgot to beforehand, but making the Rune Chant wouldn't matter because he would have blocked it with the blue. So I come in for 2 and 2, and then forgot to make the Rune Chant. I don't shackle either to like give myself more shackles here, which is like not the worst, because if I'm going to get fatigued randomly, like to keep extra cards in there, but I'm really just trying not to break the chain here because I don't want him to like freely block with Phantasmal Footsteps, right? I'm just trying to take the free damage where I can, and not because he's just gonna come in with the Herald here, and I have to block for 6 because I can't let it hit. So yeah, pitches comes in for 7. Unfortunately, my hand is triple 2 block, 3 block here, which is like, it's just like so bad, right? Like I need to double block and like double 3 block plus the grasp to block for 7, like keep like a functional hand, and then like hopefully my shackles hit and then just like kind of explode. But with this hand, you just like can't do that. And if I ever give him the chance to like just do a whole bunch of damage to me, it's just like so bad, right? Like he is at 3, which is like, it is something, right? Like he's super low, so but like 1 hit off the Herald is just gonna like flip the game. So shackles here, Shadow. If he draws Arclight Sentinel, I wanted to give him the priority. Does not have Arclight Sentinel, and then we go into this game. Basically I can play Shadow Berserker and then swing with Rosetta Thorn. I do kind of like missequence this, so I'm supposed to make a Rune Chant first, and then shackle, and then come with Shadow Berserker. I didn't know before this that Grasp of the Arcanite does take your shackle. I actually didn't know that interaction until after this, but somebody told me on Twitter, then me and Chris talked about it after the game, that I like had to Grasp first and then like chain this, but it happens, you know. What can you do? At the time, high stress and format, winning in for basically like a couple $100 with your boys, you know, is like, and a chance of like getting PTIs, like gold foils and everything, is like, it's pretty impactful. So there's a little stress, you know. What can you do? But we're gonna play for 2 go again here with the Rune Chant, so it's a lot to like try to figure out here for Chris, right? Like he needs to try to attack me for like big numbers, but I'm still like, he's like so low that even though my hands are like really bad, like 1 arcane, 2 attack with go again, and then like 2 attack is like not a good turn, like presenting 5 damage, but he's at like 3, so it's like, it actually is quite good for me that like to have like a 1-card hand presenting 5, and like 1-card hand presents 5 with like multiple like instances of him having to block when he's like so low, and then he takes the Rune Chant, goes to 2, then I attack for like this 2 and the next 2, so he has to block both, so he only has 2 cards in his hand, and then I take 1, go to 9. I'm like slowly dying to this Carrying Husk, but like I just have to block it, right? He then comes in with just another Herald. I do draw the 1-of Pauper in my deck, Soul Reaping, which in this matchup always has go again, because he can't like well, like, at least currently he can't get out of like the cycle of like getting the Soul Shield out of his Bender Stone, unless he does very specific things. So it's pretty good. I'm just gonna attack for 4 with this Ghostly Touch. I miss all the shackles, which is like pretty unfortunate, because I'm like right there, you know. Like I think maybe like hitting like a Howl, like attacking for 7 and then coming in for 2 and 2, like probably gets me there in this position. But 4 go again is still like quite good. And then have one card in my hand, which is Revel in Runeblood, which, like, I don't have another, like, non-attack to get the rune chance, but I do have, like, I can turn on Rosetta Thorn, which is, like, pretty important in this turn, right? Like, I'm also bluffing if I can turn on Rosetta Thorn or not, if it's just, like, another 4, if I'm just gonna attack with, like, Rosetta Thorn for, like, 2, then Arsenal and pass. Like, those are, like, pretty interesting, like, decisions that, like, you have to be make here, right? So, Chris's hand is, like, not good. It's, like, two 3 blocks, a Figment, and then, like, a Soul Shield. So he uses the Soul Shield on the 4 for the breakpoint. Then I kind of debate for a while, because I'm like, ah, man, like, if I, you know, break the chain playing Revel, like, the Soul Shield will go back, and then he could, like, pitch to make, like, a Soul Shield, AB1, and then, you know, block everything out. The thing is that he actually can't make a Soul Shield because he's New Prism. I forgot that New Prism you can't make Soul Shields randomly like Old Prism. It's just like how you hit. So he will have to use, but he can use Imperium Rapture to do this, basically the same thing. So I give him back the Soul Shield to present 2 and 2. So you just have to pitch another card for Imperium Rapture plus the AB, right? AB1 plus Imperium Rapture, and then does have to block with the 2 with another card because he is at 2. So it looks pretty good on my end here, and he's like, oh, well, this kind of sucks, you know. So look over at Majin. Looks like I remember Majin was in like a very like even to bad position when I looked over, and this was like this is like a close game as well. Like, I can still lose this game, but it looks like I'm gonna win this game. But I'm actually like kind of down on a lot of the cards in my deck because I have banished, like, this game has gone a lot of turns, right? Like, I was on 2 shackles for like 3 turns, so it's like 6 cards. Like, I've drawn, you know, 12 cards there, that's like 18, you know, banished 3, 4, 1, drawn, you know, 3 more for 12. Like, I'm like 30 cards deep, like, if you don't count like pitching and everything. So this game's gone pretty long. So he does Imperium Rapture plus, you know, AB1, and then does block the 2 here. So can't keep any cards in his hand, so good for me here because it doesn't have like a Herald to take 2 cards out of my hand. And then my hand is quite good. I do banish 4 cards. The only way basically my hand is like Belittle, Nimblism, plus some other stuff. The only way I can lose if he actually does have Arclight Sentinel. So I am just going to play Belittle here and then reveal the Shrill. I think I count like if I actually have a Minimism left. So like, because I know I pitched like a Howl from Beyond, so like it's in the rotation of like being able to banish it for like later in the game, so I don't want to like kind of waste it. So I'm thinking here like, okay, where do I do, like, if I have another Minimism? It does look like I do have another one. Grab the blue one that I pitched a little. I think I have like 6 or 7 cards left from my library, which is like, if I basically Chris said he doesn't need to cut it here, so attack for 3, go again. We're laughing about like, I think we're laughing about something. I forgot about it at this point, but is there? I think it's only out here just if I don't have a non-attack. I break the chain with Chane. Play Nimblism. He's like, I'm gonna have a response here. Or like, oh no, doesn't have it. Make a rune chant. Can play this bounding here for 7 plus the rune chant here because I think it's a red. So 7 plus the rune chant, cannot block it, and so I win my minute match. But unfortunately, Yost did lose his side and Majin did lose his side, so we ended up losing this round 1-2 to Yali's team. You know, some of the great guys. So we did end up 5-3, and we did bubble at 5th place. It was a clean cut at 6-2 into top 4. We did bubble at 5th place, unfortunately, and you know that was our tournament here. But we've got to play some, had some fun Flesh and Blood. You know, I went 6-2 on the day with Chane, which was pretty good after having not played Chane in like quite a significant amount of time. So yeah, it was pretty good. I always love team events. They should do more team events. It's always like a great time to hang out with your friends. So yeah, but that's gonna be it for this time. Thank you for watching our Battle Hardened Portland run. So I'll see you guys in the next one.